even though, Advance Wars is a dead series.
Play the first 2 Advance Wars campaigns in Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp.
Human company, you made me look bad!
Years ago, I was really into making video game top 10s, but I kind of faded away from it. One of the reasons being this. Kind of hard to make a list encompassing all video games when I have a quite limited knowledge. However, when it comes to Advance Wars, I actually am quite confident in my abilities. I've spent hundreds of hours in that game, so I think I can make a knowledgeable top 10. And what better top 10 than the top 10 characters? So, in Advance Wars, you are ordering soldiers into battles, and to give these orders, you select a commanding officer. These COs have cool little passive abilities, like Javier just naturally has a higher defense, while Grim just naturally has a higher attack. Cool little fun things like that. But they also have an actor ability, a CO power. Once you charge up this little meter, you turn that thing on, and the battle gets crazy. So this little video is going to look at the combination of passive and active skills that make the characters and tell you which the top 10 are to select to go into battle with. Oh, by the way, all the selections are going to be from Advance Wars Dual Strike, mainly because I don't want to play through this game a couple of times just to give Sturm a shot. I think that Von Bolt is a close enough approximation, and also I don't want to play through this game, period. Also, this game was made to be played online, so there's no stupid broken powers. It's supposed to be balanced, and it's not fun. But this game is broken, and it's so much fun, and it's been a long time, but roll that title card.
Hello YouTube, and welcome to Heemin's Top 10 COs for Advance Wars Dual Strike! An opinion piece. Alright, I racked this idea in my head for a while and made this list more than once, and I always came up with the exact same 9 COs. So number 10 can really be anyone that you want, because with certain map conditions, any character can be the right choice. A deployment map? You know you gotta use Combat, and a Fog of War can actually make Sonya viable. Heck, a bunch of plane tiles can actually make me want to use the cancer that is Jake.
Hey Chet, I've been looking over your script, and I don't think you should be calling a person cancer.
Hold on.
I hope they bust a cap at each other?
Oh, that is cancer.
Word.
It's your shtick.
I'm lucky.
That's not a superpower.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Oh, yes, it is. Nell, the lucky lady of Orange Star. Nell's gimmick is luck, which in Advance Wars cannot be underestimated. I mean, sure, the beauty of Advance Wars is that the best tactics should carry you to victory, but luck can be one thing that can tip the scale in your favor. Okay, so when you're fighting a foe, you get a little forecast before the battle, telling you how much damage you'll be doing. 44% means that I will do 4 damage, and there's a 40% chance that I might actually do 5. We do the battle, and unfortunately I only did 4 damage, and I ended up taking 4 damage in retaliation. Nell says perish the thought! She will always hit the higher damage. In fact, with her luck stat as high as it is, the question changes to, will I be lucky enough to hit 2 above my weight class? And don't even get me started on her CO power. For the most reasonable cost we're gonna see today, 6 power stars, you are gonna get a stupid boost in your power. Once again, we are fundamentally changing the question. Now we gotta ask, how wrong is the battle forecast gonna be? How much extra damage we doing here? 3? 4? 5? Nell's superpower boost is so astronomical that when you only do 1 extra damage, you're like, game broken? The heck? The forecast was actually right? Yep, with the devil's own luck on her side, I think that Nell deserves to be on my list. And she's only at number 10. Okay, the slot that I didn't really consider necessary to give to anyone. Now let's move on to the real powerhouses. The leader of the Black Hole Army, Von Bolt. Aw yeah, beat this game just on hard to play as him, and let's be honest, entirely worth it. I mean, he's only at number 9, but don't get me wrong, he still is a pretty good CO. The weird thing is his superpower. It's not that bad. Call down a 5x5 beam to deal 3 damage to all foes, but that's not what's special, you see. The special thing is that all the units that were affected by the 3 health loss are also incapacitated the next turn, just no movement at all.
I have fallen, and I choose not to get up.
And that may not seem like a whole lot, but one of the most valuable resources in this game is turns, and having a chunk of your army straight up kneecapped can be absolutely horrifying. Some downsides are that you don't actually get to control the beam. It decides the best place for you, and it might decide that some of your units are worth the sacrifice. Also, it takes a lot of stars to charge up. Now, I'm of the opinion that in the grand scheme of things, it is not a bad thing to have a huge CO meter. Usually the power that it grants is more than worth it. And if your opponent activates their CO power first, usually they do enough damage to you to fill up your meter so you can pay them back tenfold.
Whatever you do to that spirit, I'll unleash on you tenfold!
The other problem with Von Bolt is he's the only character to not have a cheaper CO power. And while I do think that almost all characters should exclusively use their super CO power, sometimes it's nice to have a cheaper option just so you can get an emergency boost in firepower if you really need it. But that's why Von Bolt is actually on this list. He doesn't need an emergency boost in firepower, cause he is an emergency boost in firepower. All of his units, for no real reason in particular, get bonus attack and defense. That is horrifically huge. If this game was balanced, no one could beat Von Bolt in a 1v1 bout. But this is Advance Wars, where balance goes to die. So while having an extra turn in a 5x5 area is nice, let's move on up to number 8.
I wanna play airplane. I wanna play air.
The Sovereign of the Skies, Eagle. Whoa, wait, they named their air specialist Eagle? A bit on the beat there, don't you think? Listen, if there's a lot of airports on your map, Eagle is a fantastic choice. What with him getting increased firepower on some of the game's priciest units, making them even more unstoppable. But even if there aren't, this full CO power is a bit over the top. For most characters, activating their CO power, usually it's best to activate it at the beginning of their turns so that every blow they land hits with the force of a Tokyo bullet mule. But Eagle has the distinct ability that when he activates his power, every spent unit can move again, which really cannot be understated. One extra turn makes a fair fight into a clean sweep. The only slight attempt to mitigate the brokenness of this ability is that it doesn't extend to his infantry units. But I mean, come on, the ability to capture an entire building in a single turn would be a bit much. However, if we're talking tag teams, I'm pretty sure that Eagle and Sammy are the strongest power couple in the entire game. Remember in the beginning when I mentioned moving 18 spaces to win in a single turn? Yeah, move 6 spaces, activate the power, move 6 more spaces, drop the unit 1 space closer, activate Sammy's ability that adds 2 more spaces to the movement, and allows you to capture bases in a single turn. And holy cow, they even gave them a freaking firepower boost, man. Look me in the eyes and tell me this game isn't broken. But yeah, even without Sammy, his airstrikes and toothless schligged turns makes Eagle one of the top COs in this game. I don't know who is better. For the most part, they are pretty much the same, because it all comes down to their CO superpower. I mean, you may as well call them Oprah, because you get 2 damage, you get 2 damage, everybody gets 2 damage! I mean, they each have their advantages. I mean, if you're in a snowy stage, Olaf is going to be especially fearsome, being unaffected by the negative effects of the snow, and actually getting a firepower boost. And Drake is a master of the sea, getting an even more powerful battleship? Yes, ma'am! But it is at the cost of your air units taking a slight downgrade. When it comes to the powers, it's also a toss-up. Blizzard lasts for 2 whole turns, giving you plenty of times to bask in that snowy attack boost. and it also makes the foe spend twice as much fuel, while Drake just straight up washes half of the foe's current fuel away. And this next part may be a benefit, but it's also a hindrance. It causes a rainstorm, which enables Fog of War for one turn. But when I'm playing as Drake, I usually have an absurd amount of battleships floating around, which means that I can no longer see the opponents that I want to turn into a blood-filled crater. Yeah, but these guys on their own are amazing. Being able to take a free chunk out of the foe's HP makes both of them darn good COs. And don't even get me talking about putting them as a tag team, because putting these two together is unbelievably unprincipled. Activate both of their powers in one turn and the enemy's entire army is rendered inert.
And I don't even know what inert means. I mean, but here's the thing. Olaf and Drake together can do anything together, which includes, yes, even inertness.
The Mechanical Wizard Kinnard! Andy. What is the only thing better than damaging everyone's units a whole lot? Well, actually, not a whole lot. But when you use Andy's 6 power stars to heal all of your units for 5, well, I'd say that's pretty close. Seriously, if you're like me and you withdraw units when they can no longer deal significant damage, being able to get your entire army up and running for practically free is absurd! And here's the thing, healing 5 damage may not seem like a whole lot when it's your units, but anytime you're facing the CO, and all of a sudden every unit that you just spent a lot of resources damaging sprouts a second head, personally, I hate going against this squirrely little CO. Alright, let's be honest. Healing? Pretty good. Damage? That's great. But tell me, how do you choose? Well, with Hawk's CO power, you don't have to. Fill up this bad boy's meter and a wave will engulf the entire field, taking a bite out of all of your foes and giving a bite to all your... I don't know, I should probably work on how I word this. Whatever. The point is that Hawk is a little bit of Andy and a whole lot of Olaf, all packed together into one mean package. I mean, however, out of all of the CO powers, Hawks takes the longest to prepare with a slight debuff to charging his meter, but as previously stated, those things build up for even the most stubborn of COs. And to make up for that debuff, he gets boosted attack on all of his units, for free! It's not like a certain type, like for Drake or Eagle, just all of them. I love this broken game. The illustrious infantry master herself, Sammy. Now I talked a little bit about her back in Eagle section, but Sammy, oh my gosh. Yeah, she has weaker vehicles in exchange for some of the stupidest infantry to walk this planet. Like in the first Advance Wars, they had someone who was good with vehicles, and then Sammy who was good with infantry, and then Andy was like kind of all around. But as the series progressed, they probably realized that Sammy was way too broken for this world. Seriously, summoning bazookas with 20% attack bonus is bad enough. But the most important thing to do in Advance Wars to break a stalemate with your foe is, you see, both of you will eventually own half the map, and both are doing their best to capture just one building to shift the balance irreparably. Not only do you get 1,000 more resources per turn, but you also cut off 1,000 resources from your opponents. But with that said, both sides are going to do anything to kill an infantry unit that's hopped on top of a building to stop them from getting it. But with Sammy, yeah, and that's in a fair fight. She activates her super CO power and a 1 health unit can take an entire building in 1 turn. Yeah, Sammy breaks stalemates, hearts, and the game easily. And she's only number 4. Okay, so whatever you think of my list, I think we can all agree that Sensei has the best song in the entire franchise, right? I have yet to find a human who doesn't think that this song is an absolute banger! Alright, so let's talk about Sensei. So one strategy that I like to employ in Advance Wars is called Night of the Living Dead. Basically, I just choose one base and every turn they build a mech unit. And then I just throw those bodies at the foe until I win. And pretty much any CO can use this strategy. Actually, now I think that Sammy greatly excels at this technique. But with Sensei, ho 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 ho!
Delightfully devilish, Seymour.
This man's superpower is so stupid, guys. Okay, so for the low price of 6 power stars, every city you own will spit out a nearly full health mech unit for you, truly completing the zombie invasion. And do you want to know the dumbest part about this? Okay, so the way that you charge up that little meter is by losing units, okay? And each mech that's lost is equivalent to about 1 star. So you have more than 6 cities and you use this power, you will create more than 6 stars worth of units for free. Meaning that a fight against Sensei will snowball into an unwinnable mess for anyone foolish enough to face this geriatric geezer. And mechs aren't even his speciality. His battlecopters get a 50% attack boost. But you'd be forgiven for not knowing or even caring about that because of the unending horde of missile men lurching toward your cursed competitor. Well, here he is, the cheeky little rich boy who turns every battle into an absolute cakewalk. Colin Mother Money Bags Gates. Okay, he doesn't really have a last name, but my heavens, is this little creep absolutely shatter the game balance. I've talked a lot about the resources that you have access to in Advance Wars, but do you know what resource is the greatest of them all? Resources! One's ability to call in units, and that's what Colin does best. 20% discount. That means you're paying 80% of the price. 80! Now keep in mind that his units are a little bit weaker by about 10%, but he only has to pay 80% of what a Neo tank costs. That's 17,000 resource. And sure, yes, it was made in a back alley by a one-eyed frog named the Startling Stupaldo with nothing but his trusty hacksaw. But it's still a gosh dang Neo tank. Medium tanks for 12,000. Sweet baby, right? This kid is crazy. Oh, and that's not even the worst of it. Check out my power. The power of money. For every 1,000 money you have, your attack rises by 3.3 power. Or, alternatively, and arguably 100 times better, for 2 stars you can activate Gold Rush. Multiply your resources by 1.5. Do you know what that means? Okay, so check it out. I stockpiled for 3 turns and activated Gold Rush. And with my 77,000 monies, I snapped up 3 Neo tanks, which I was able to get for bargain bin prices, and just sent them into battle, the whole time squirreling away cash. Waited until I reached a full power bar, and then hippity hoppity, 57,000 is now 92,000, and I ain't spending a red cent. Wait till my next turn, get my allotted resources, and then activate Gold Rush again, baby, for a second time. And now I have 138,000 money. I'm gonna build 6 mega tanks and still have 16,000 money.
This game was never meant to be played with humans. I mean, you can have 1 human play it, but 2 versus one of them is not gonna have a fun time. But anyway, those are my top 10 COs in Advance Wars. Or are they? Some of you may have been paying attention and noticed that Sensei was number 3. So Colin's not my number 1 pick, even with how absurdly broken he is. No, my number 1 pick for the top CO in Advance Wars is... Hitler! Okay, not really, but it's okay, baby. You'll always be number 1 in my heart. But for real, if I was including Super Famicom War COs, we'd have Billy Gates here. He gets 10,000 extra resources per turn for no real reason, just kind of felt like it. Now, our real pick for number 1 is... the Money Master himself, Hachi. Could it possibly be anyone else? Yes, Colin is getting units on the cheap, but Hachi is getting them on the cheap, but he's not taking a cut to the attack for it. And you know, all things considered, Colin's Gold Rush may slightly outpace Hachi, but Hachi's ability comes close by slicing the prices in half, effectively doubling his economic power. But what I truly love is his superpower. In addition to having the price of his troops, he can summon them on cities! And this game was never meant for this kind of madness. Nothing in this game was! Sure, Hachi's song isn't top tier as previously established, but I feel extremely confident in saying that if you're going against Hachi, you've done something woefully wrong, and you are going to lose. And those are my top 10 COs in the Advance Wars game. I mean, if you don't agree with me, I'm sure you've already put in the comments, and honestly, I probably agree with you. Every CO is amazing in their own right, and as stated in a previous video, that's why they haven't seen a new Advance Wars game in a while. Because trying to balance all of these fun powers in like a human versus human match would be infuriating and impossible. And hey, listen, even if you don't agree with my COs, that's fine, but I think that we can all agree on one thing, and that being that Sensei's theme absolutely slaps!
This has been Heemin Gaming Station's Advance Wars Month. If you've missed any of the previous videos, you can check them out with the links on screen. Or you can subscribe for more Heemin Gaming videos in the future. Regardless of what you do, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye!